Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it. Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.
Good morning, and another edition of Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. It is another week, and it seems to be that they're passing so very quickly. It is another Tuesday, and it is moving right along in the summertime. Thank you all for tuning in today. We want to thank you all for tuning in live. Please drop in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let us know your thoughts, your perspective. Join the discussion. Also, drop your questions in because we want to engage and hear from you. Also, for those who are joining us via the hashtag replay. You also drop in and tune in from the comments. Tell us where you're tuning in from. This is a global show, and we know that we're bringing you the things that you need to hear. So make sure that you put it in there so we can engage with you, answer all of your questions, hear your perspective, hear your thoughts, because we can't move it forward without you guys. But I can't move forward without my hostess with the mostest. Come on, Charlene, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Come in. My hostess.
Hello, welcome. What's up, everybody?
What's
What's
going
up?
on?
What's up?
What's
Well,
going
I
on?
would just say it's official. It is net shirt season, and it is the season where everybody
Next
gets to wear the
shirt season?
clothes.
I don't think I've ever heard
everybody
that.
Everybody gets to wear the clothes that they should wear before we need to start declaring what gets burned after Labor Day. Net
Oh,
shirt
wow.
season.
What
Net
is
shirt
her?
season is where everybody feels it is so hot they need to wear those net shirts. So
Oh,
if you
wow.
ever see that, you will know, folks. I know, especially in the South, y'all know, it is that season. So yes, let's get it in. I
Yes,
hear an
yes, yes.
echo.
You hear echo? It ain't
Yeah.
me. Ain't me. I don't think it's me.
Oh man.
It's not me. I don't have
Well, if
anything
you
that's
guys
open.
don't hear echo, then we'll keep pushing. But I do hear it.
Yeah, I don't have anything else open. Not as yet. I usually do my double duties, but I don't have anything open. I don't have anything open this morning.
You will know, folks. I know, especially in the South, y'all know.
The summertime is here. The summertime is here. What's up, Denise? Tuning in from Houston. Oh, we got Loretta out there in California, Long Beach. Appreciate you, Quinn from San Antonio. Giving a shout out to San Antonio, our hearts and prayers. Definitely, it seems like it's always something going on for all of those that was found in that the back of that 18-wheeler. I think it was a lot of immigrants. I don't know what the situation of the story was. Guess they were trying to cross it to the border, but they found 46 bodies of dead immigrants in the back of an 18-wheeler. I give a shout out to sending prayers out. I'm sorry to the families of those who. I mean, they just trying to get over here to make it. So whatever your thoughts and your processes may be. I mean, people trying to come from worse places to better places, so they think. So they just trying to do it any means necessary, and people are risking their lives to do that, and that's a tragedy. They said he opened a container, and even the law enforcement was kind of like just crippling at the knees of what they saw. So we appreciate you all out there in San Antonio. Quentin, thank you for tuning in, man. And our hearts and prayers are going out to the city and to the state this morning. But we want to appreciate. Oh, we got my man Dr. M in from India. Thank you, Dr. M. Lucretia, thank you. I appreciate you. Keisha checking in on us this morning. What's going on with you, ma'am? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I'm
Oh,
checking audio.
you checking out
My
there. I
weekend
don't
was
hear any
good.
what's the name though. But you got those
I
extra
know.
tuned ears, though. My ears. I can't
I
hear
got
it like
to. But I got to check because we got to think of our podcast listeners too. So,
yes, absolutely.
um, but my weekend was good, and I have almost finished my resources for people, because we always talking about resources. What do we use? How do we get things done? So I'm almost done. I can't wait for that. And of course, I took some me time because during the week we hustle, we push things through for others, and we always have other people on our at the forefront of our minds a lot. So I needed to make that my rejuvenation weekend, and I've been working hard to stick to it. So client calls, emails, I leave as much of that to the week as possible, so I can just retune during the weekend. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that, especially summer is here, and I want to really enjoy my summer. Now, what
Yeah,
about
yeah, it's the summer is here. Summer is here. Kind of mourning the church family is one. We had a couple of people, a couple of long time members in our congregation passed on this weekend. One on Friday,
you?
one on Saturday. So we hitting hard. Got hit hard in the church family on this weekend that passed. But beside that, still was a great weekend. The weather was nice. I have started back up walking. So I used to be very avid into the exercise and doing those kind of things, but I think in the course of the pandemic and just all this sitting and all of this, zooming and live streaming, and I kind of got out of that. But I'm waiting now. I'm going about 7 o'clock at night when it's like not too hot and the sun's kind of down, and I've just been walking because it's a high school about a mile up the road from me, and they got
Mhm.
this enormous track, and I just go walk on there at nighttime, and I put my earpods in, man, and it has been one of the most refreshing things I've just with nature, and I'm gonna have to do me a I'll be walking. I do the fast walk, so I'm gonna have to do me a thing where I can do the I gotta give me a selfie stick. I don't have one of them sticks, to
Oh
make to
Lord.
make to
You
make
want to photograph yourself,
yeah,
videotape yourself
photograph.
walking
You know,
around?
you need that social proof, right? You can't say nothing on here because people be like, yeah, yeah, okay, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. But I'm trying to get into a healthy. No, I'm not trying to fit in no wedding suit. No, I ain't trying to get on the beach and do all of that. I just need to be a little bit healthy, a little healthy, more healthy conscious. That exercise, it don't hurt, and I actually feel so much better. I know people say that all the time. You really don't put that to frame of mind, but I feel so much better when I come off of the track after I done walked. I think the other night I walked like 2 miles. After you to walk a little bit and get your blood flowing and your respiration going, man, it's a good feeling. You come off of there and whoo, you feel good. So that's my health tip for the day. I have to share that with Dr. Alex. She gives all the health tips. But yes, but what we talking about today? We talking about how to influence authentically, right?
Right.
I know a lot of us have influencers. I know we see influencers, everybody calling themselves influencers, everything from the TikTok influencers to those followers. Like, what are some of the things that really get you, and vulnerability is how to influence authentically. I think that we have influences. Of course, we're going to get those who like what they see, like the pictures or whatever we project, like
Mhm.
the sight of us just being so super successful and having things at the tips of our fingers. What about influencing people authentically through you being vulnerable? People actually seeing and feeling the process of you being an influencer. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think I sent you my Mythbuster in the chat.
Yes,
Yes,
you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yes, you
So I
did. We can
put the
kick off
Mythbuster.
with your myth buster.
We got the
And
Mythbuster.
it's and it's influence is a what persuasive process. It doesn't happen all at once.
Yeah. So when you talk about that, when you talk about the influencing, right? It is that, and a lot of people say that it's a process. But I beg to differ, and why I put it in the MythBusters category, because it's not really a persuasive process. We put it in a process because we think of the word influence and we think of it over a long period of time. But you can influence people with your first meeting. You can influence thoughts. You can influence actions in your first interaction. So it doesn't have to be a process, and it doesn't happen all at once in the essence of that process. When you're doing it, it can be that you can be that persuasive person, such as leaders. Let's take leaders, for example, because I love talking about leaders. You have those that have the term leaders, and they're not influencing at all. When you see them in the realm of who they're supposed to be, you don't even connect with them as being an influence for you. You don't even look to them for even the guidance, for even them being the one that's supposed to, quote unquote, leading you. So, in the essence of looking at it from that perspective, it's not a persuasive process because you've probably been working with a lot of them for a long period of time, and they haven't influenced you to do anything more than they have from the first time from the first time you met them or the first time there. But on the flip side of that is the Mythbuster being, you have those that you come in contact with that they are at that moment in time, right away, they're influence to you. Whether it's the mindset, whether it's saying things, whether it's just the conversation, whether it's communications that you guys have, it's just something about that individual. And you have a lot of people that you meet like that, whether it's the charisma of it, whether it's the ability and the knack to be able to communicate to you, the attention that's paid to you. There's a lot of ways that you can instantly influence anyone that doesn't have to be a process, and that all comes from being vulnerable in the vulnerability spot of being able to connect, and that's really what this piece of vulnerability talks about. It just talks about being able to connect with others, being able to have engagement with others that can be sincere, because a lot of times we have these conversations or we have this engagement and it's not of a sincerity, and it's just kind of like padding, or kind of like just saying, okay, I hear you. So much I could think about the example that we often talk about all the time. When someone says, how are you doing? Good morning, how are you? Right? And most people do not hang around for the answer. Like, most people say as they walk, hey, good morning, how you doing? And they're still walking, right? Well, what if I wanted to tell you how I was doing? So it's just of that, right? And maybe I wanted to unloading. And I think a lot of times we don't hang out and we don't stay because we don't want to hear that unloading. We don't want to hear that. But after, why don't you try it sometime to see how you can be influencing somebody authentically, to listen to what they're saying, to hear what's going on with them, to give them a moment of your time. Because you never know, those few moments that you have given up or given to someone else could definitely change the trajectory of even someone's life. Just those times where I've had it happen before so many times. When people say, you heard me, I was going to do this, and that, but you spent time with me, you talked to me, you heard me. And it's not nothing that you say from a boasting spirit. It's just the essence of, we don't really take into consideration the power that we have when we're listening to others. That's really what we're here for. That's really what we're here for. We're not trying to wait to get a word in edgewise. We're really here for each other. So that's my
Well,
point.
some aren't. Some aren't,
Well,
because you're right.
my partner always gotta go. She got always gotta go to the dark side. It's just like Darth
It's not
Vader
the
is.
dark side. It's real. It's the
Yeah, I
real
feel you. I feel
reality
you.
of it. And especially when you're trying to say, you're influencing people through your actions. I like the example that you gave. Just sitting down, taking time to genuinely listen to somebody. Maybe they had a rough time, and you just seem to be the person. Because a lot of times we wonder, and I've done it. Always wonder, like, why is this stranger just telling me something, or why is this person just telling me this type of information? It
Mhm.
seems a little personal. Like, why are you selling it to me? Sometimes you've just been the chosen one. I like to say by the universe. Some say God, some say a higher being. But I feel like there's times when you're the one. You're the one for someone to take that shelter in, and be able to unload, and not in a bad way, but just to get that off their chest. Because sometimes people just need a sounding board. They don't need feedback. They don't need a response. They don't need uh I want to say, what, help in a sense from you. They just want to be able to say it out loud. A lot of times you will notice, if people just say something out loud, they resolve a lot of their issues. They hear it and they're like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I should do. And then you're just like, okay, well, what would you think about that? How would that make you move to the next space. Would that make you feel better? What would that do for you? Sometimes that's just all they want is a sounding board. So that's a way to influence without you making it your mission to be an influencer. Some people are just like, I want to influence, I want to be an influencer. And then, it's not authentic. It's not genuine. They just want, it's not that they wanted to really influence you for positivity. They just wanted that clout. They just wanted a reason to say that they're an influencer. And plus, it's now a money thing. So now it's a job, or it's a position that people can claim that they do that. So you have to be careful of when you're saying you want to influence people and be authentic about it. What's your purpose? I always go back to that, right? What's your purpose behind that? And then how can you allow vulnerability to play a key role in that? So I definitely wanted us to jump into some great points that you came up with, Carl, about influencing authentically. And you said one of them is influence is a product of trust. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's just it. We see influence, and people say, oh, "Okay, I influence that because I see them." We see the things that attract us with the natural eye. That's not trust. We see things that we've made covered. Covered meaning there's something that we want. We see things that we want that people have. They put on the yachts, the boats. I mean, and I'm just being superficial when I mention these particular things. But the homes, the cars, the materialistic things, we see others portraying that and putting that on, but that's not trust. So the influence there is really not that. When you influence somebody, it's a product of trust because it requires a relationship and your reputation to be built. So if I'm influencing you, I'm making you do things or following you or persuading you to move or go on my bandwagon based upon the trust and relationship that I've built with you. The reputation of maybe my products and services has garnered me. I always use Amazon for an example, and I talk about when even when they began with the books, their main purpose was to build a relationship with those that were shopping. So once they got your book choices in and they start asking questions, garnering what you like, what you don't like, that's the building of the relationship. And by them continually having that stuff available to you to purchase, that's building their reputation for a place to go to get the things you need to get. That's what I mean by their product of trust. And now when you say Amazon, that influence is worldwide, global. So now you can say, yes, Amazon has provided because they built relationships with those who seek to get products and services. And how they built their reputation by providing those. And not only that, they went even further than that. When things are wrong or mistakes are made, they have a policy that you can send any and everything back and they resend it to you. So their reputation is steadily being upheld in that. And that's the core of being influenced. When you're thinking about these coaches, consultants, for by me being in that realm, I can speak of them. The influence is the product of trust. When I'm talking to someone, whether it be a Zoom, whether it be a facilitating a meeting, whether it be some DEI training, whatever it be, I'm building the relationship with them based upon my circumstances, my experiences, and my knowledge. And in that, I'm building up my reputation. These are how we influence people with authenticity. This is how we influence people. I can trust you. I see the things that you say match up with the things that are happening. I see the things that are happening match up through others that are being benefited from it. So it's all a cycle of that. And that influence, it is a product of trust because once you put out there that you can do these, once you establish that you can, your trust is built. And that's where the true influence comes from. I know we hear the terms of, I got 10 million followers on TikTok. I'm just dancing up some. Yeah, but I can't trust you past that dance movement. I don't even know if that's you dancing because they can do videos or whatever now. They can Photoshop and do everything now. I saw a couple of videos the other day that a friend of mine done, it, and I was like, "Wow, that looks like." He's like, "No, I just put 3 or 4 videos together and danced it together." I was like, "Man, it just looks like that was you doing that." And he photoshopped it, so these people's getting good now. So
He did the video version of Photoshop.
yeah, he did a
Uh,
video and he put his head on the video, and it wasn't detached to them where you could like see like it was like paste kind of thing. It looked like it was really him in there. He said he had done this little AI digital kind of thing. I was like, man, that is way
yep.
way past my pay grade. But it looked like it was him. And if I didn't know him or he didn't tell me, I would have been persuaded that that's who it was. that that's what he was doing.
Mhm.
So the influence is product of trust because it's something that's built that someone has to initiate, and then there's an understanding that say based on our relationship, based on your reputation, I trust the product that you have, I trust the service that you provide, and this is where it comes
Yeah.
from. All this, oh, I can't talk this much. My coffee, authenticity.
Or lack thereof. What you saying?
I like that. Oh, yeah, I like that. I got some. Yeah, I got some. Yeah. Mm,
But I love that because I think too what we always miss is we can't only rely on special effects, right? Because you knew
yeah.
your friend, so you were able to talk to him, and he gave you the lowdown, and he was honest
Yeah.
about it. Some people were
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, child, I was practicing for days, and did it." Or it just came to me. Oh, I used to dance in high school and all this kind of nonsense. But a lot of times when you're not able to trust folks because they may have had a one-off, they might have had a success, but now where's the follow-through? How are you going to help keep it up? And it's not always about saying, oh, work with me, work with me, work with me. It's like, no, show me how you do this. And like you said, a lot of times it's real subtle. So as you're building the trust, a lot of it comes through subtle movements, subtle judgments, and you building that rapport, because you can't just build rapport off of 2 phone calls. I don't care what anybody tell you. It's rare, right? It's
Yeah.
rare. And it's not bad, but I think people, it's the instant life, right? People always want that instant return, that instant love. We can't be besties after 2 DM messages. That's just not going to happen.
You may
And
tell
not
me what
everybody,
besties after two messages. Yes. Come on. Hmm.
no, but not everybody's like that. And some people, they feel like, oh, I just trust the world. That's not what that is. A lot of times you just want to really be open because you want to counteract a lot of the negativity that's going on, which is great. I love the momentum of it, but to keep that up, you really need to start understanding the difference between you making connections, you building rapport with people, then you moving into a different phase of a relationship. I think we're missing that. There are phases to relationships, and it's okay. Stop trying to remove the phases to have these instant relationships that are so deep that they're really surface and you can't even tell how deep that is. Right? So you want to understand how are you really building that? Carl and I, it took us a minute to really
Yeah.
say, you know what, we can kind of think where you about to go with this. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. Now, did we click? Yeah, we clicked. It was
Mhm.
instant click. But to say that we can now understand how you move and oh, maybe you doing this and that took us a while, and
Yeah.
it took us multiple conversations. So now I know for a fact Sundays I'm not even looking at any conversations to come from Carl because I know about his Sunday routines. I know he has a family, so more than likely there's going to be times where he needs that family time. So if I drop a message off to him, I'm not looking for a 2 second response. I'm gonna say, okay, if it's 48 hours, something's up. What's going on? And the next my next message is then concern. You okay? You good? What's happening? You busy maybe? What's going on? And that's how we know how to respond and build our trust with each other. And then we're able to influence each other. So if Carl tells me something, I take it for value and I give him heavier weight than I would somebody that I literally just met 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Right? And it's based on that longevity that we've built. Like a lot of you come to these shows, and it wasn't overnight that we had so many people coming. We have almost a 20,000 reach, and so many people, and we're so grateful for y'all that wasn't overnight. And
Yes.
even when you saw us, we talking, we did the shows, you guys still gave us time, and now you've built a lot of trust with us. And that's why whenever we do things, we think of you first, and we make sure that whatever we do, we tell y'all the real, right? Because that's what you came to expect.
Mhm. And it's what it is, and it's that relationship building. It's really what the core of everything that I do. It's about building relationships because they are long lasting. Can I have encounters? Absolutely. I've had a bunch of them. I got over 16,000 people in my network, so I have plenty of encounters. But in the essence of that, I'm more prouder than the 13 or 14,000 connections on there, because though I haven't reached out to all 16,000 people in my network, there's been a process ever since what, the early part of 2020, that I've been delving into my network, and more than not, I can say on a consistent basis, day in and day out, I'm touching three or four people through Zooms, through channels, through emails, through DMs. I'm garnering relationships. I'm learning about my signature message that I sent out is that I'm happy to connect with you, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your passions, because those are the things that drive me. When I understand the passions of other people, that you'd be surprised how subliminal and how parallel you walk when you start engaging and conversating with people. We have this thing where we have them to pick sides, and there's no understanding of, if you're not this, you're that. That's just simply for the fact that we haven't taken the time to communicate and conversate based upon that. And then we haven't had the respect module in there to say, okay, you know what, we don't see that the same, but you know what, you're an awesome person. You know what? You're a great individual. You have some great perspectives and characteristics that I align with. No, we don't, see eye to eye on this, but that doesn't make us evils. That doesn't make us mortals. That doesn't make us like we just in combat. And I think those are
Mhm.
some of the consistency things that we've lost in the terms of building those relationships. We don't want to. If we don't agree, we don't put the effort in. And I always say, and before I got married, always people used to say, marriage was a job. And I was like, no, 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 because quite a few, if you know it as well as I do, you was working on these jobs, you wasn't a happiness. So you definitely wasn't putting your relationship is in the job pattern. So I used to say,
Mm.
no, I can't be no job. I can't, because I don't really like my job. So I can't, but don't put it to me in that category. But over the course of time, it does take work. I think Shannon put it in there best. It's like dating, and I
Yes.
said professionally dating, because the simple fact is, even your coworkers and those things, you're having those interactions as dating, because you're learning them, and though it may not go the direction of an actual date, you understand the premise. What I'm saying, you're learning about
Mhm.
them. You're understanding about their quirks, the things they like, the things they don't like, how they like things to be, and it should be vice versa. That way, it creates a harmony in the essence of you guys getting the job done. This takes time to do. The new hires can't come on and talk to Mary, who been there 40 years, and so Mary gonna be the grouch routine, and the new hire just trying to figure out what's going on. There's got to be some building and some trust there, and that's really the product of the influence. How can Mary
Mhm.
influence this new hire from someone she's been there 30 years and she knows the tradition of the corporation? How can she be an ambassador to this new one coming in with these innovative, creative ideas to push this company forward? It's going to take the relationship, and it's going to take influencing authentically. Mary's going to have to break down some of those barriers she's built up to say, this is how we do it. And she's going to
Right.
say, yo, I love how you think. We don't normally do it like that. We haven't done it like that. It's not established a pattern that we do it like that, but let's give that a shot. That may work.
Mhm.
Changes may
Yeah.
need to be made. So that's where you get that influence in that.
True, but then you also have to make sure that Amy isn't coming in telling Mary she's no longer useful, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely.
two-way street, but we
Yes.
can have another discussion about
Yes,
that.
yeah, yes. That's why
It's
I
a
use the
whole
term
two-way street.
ambassador. I like to
Right.
use the term ambassador because if you know kind of like the ambassador, you're really leading the way. Have you known any ambassador that really works? When you think
Mhm.
of the concept of the word ambassador, right? There are facial demonstration or a facial representation of the brand. They're the ambassador.
Right.
So if Mary's
Right.
been there 40 years at your company, she's an ambassador. She's not to be chucked away in the side when the new kid come in from college. She is
Correct.
actually to be the bridge for that new kid to really know the boundaries, the foundations, the reputations, all those things that was built before he graduated, or maybe before he was even born, what he needs to embrace and carry forward with his new generation that's coming forward. So that's what Mary needs to be. So I want to thank
Right.
you, Mary, Amy, all of y'all. I want
And we definitely want to say I'll leave it to this one, and then we'll hit up Shannon's question. Do
Okay.
not be that stalker, right? And what that
Not the
means,
stalker.
as soon as you get a DM, as soon as you get a connect, as soon as you meet somebody on the street, as soon as somebody introduces you to a referral, all of a sudden y'all in love, you besties. Like how Shannon said, it's a professional dating thing. We always, all of us heard different versions of it.
Hmm.
You especially when it's email marketing, it's a professional dating thing. So you don't want to sit there and now be the stalker. You in there every day. You they told you no thank you, but you coming back. You sure? You sure? No thank you. You sure? You positive? You sure? But I can be here if you're ready. No thank you. But I'm here. I'm here for you if you need. Like now you get blocked.
Oh
You
wow.
get blocked, you get reported. So you want to make sure that what you're doing positive influence, because there's a negative to it as well. So you want to be a positive influence on people's trust. You want to build that. And with Shannon's question, she's asking, what's the best way to reach out to a connection that you have that you may not have interacted with in a while? Now, I've heard a lot of things, and what's worked for me is just to say, hey, what's going on? We haven't talked in a minute. You all right? Just checking in on you. Just wanted to say a quick hi to you. And then a lot of times that person will respond. Maybe they're not even on social media that much. So if you are fortunate that you guys have had that, you've built up enough rapport, you might have already gotten their email. Maybe you have their personal phone number. Don't abuse it, but just say, hey, just wanted to check in real quickly with you, make sure everything's okay. And then that's it. That's how I do it. And a lot of times, why do I do it that way? Because I like when people do that with me, and I don't want the constant emails. Don't add me to your inbox or your email newsletters. Folks have done that. They've gotten blocked. It's about using information that I give you the proper way. If I did not opt into your email list, please don't add me. If I did not opt into your text message list, please don't add me. If you, my message, my information that I share with you, if I'm at that level of comfort, it's for a certain purpose of, let's just reach out, let's just touch base. And then if we decide to do business, then we take that a different level, and we connect a different level. We connect differently. That's just how I would do it. And how I've done it too as well. What about you, Carl? What you think?
Yeah, and then I do the same. We're along the same lines with that. Uh, uh, when I was thinking about it, I got a lot of things running through my mind. About it was just funny when you said the opt-in thing. I cannot even tell you. I get numerous, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So what I'm saying is, this is not a foreign concept to those who are watching. I get numerous subscribe to notifications every single day. This I do. So let me just put it out there. I do subscribe to your things when you send them to me in the initial. But me, unlike most people you'll run across, I go back and see what I subscribe to. If it aligns with me, I read your stuff, I stay there. If it doesn't align with me or it's something ridiculous, or I'm going to say ridiculous because there's no way to talk about anyone's things that they create. But what I say, if it doesn't align with me and it's not nothing that I'm in agreement with, I go back and unsubscribe. Now, some may say, man, you go through all of this. Why don't you just not subscribe to stuff? Because I am always on the outward of giving the benefit of the doubt. Always. I've always been like that, and I always would want someone to do me like that as well. So I don't just say cancel, 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 ignore. What I do ignore from the door is the Bitcoin people, and I've been blessed by the best because I haven't had them in over a year to even send me anything. So someone has gotten the message with the Bitcoin people. Not that I have nothing against them, but their social skills are horrible. I have not met one that wants to have a relationship beside, yo, you know how to trade? You know anything about trading? That's after they say, hey, nice to connect.
It's the
Like,
new MLM.
yeah, so
It's been the new MLM, because that's why a lot of people have a bad taste for MLMs.
yeah,
Not because they don't believe in it, but it's just the approach
it's
was
approach that which you
crap
get
for
it,
years.
and
And
it's
that's what people
horrible.
were doing with crypto. Yep.
And that's how it is. And then don't get me twisted. My son's in crypto. He's got all these coins and he knows all this. So if I want education, believe me, bro, he can give it to me. He's still trying to get my money for some of this stuff. But I told him it's too hard for me to understand. I say, long as you're doing it, you benefiting, I'm fine with it. I don't have anything. I'm not one that downs things because I don't understand it. Because some of us
Right.
have a tendency to say, I don't understand it, it has to be horrible. No, I'm not that guy. But go back to that. What I say, I normally just leave that message. And I had someone, it's funny that you talk about this, Shani, because I had someone that I had been DMing for about a month. And I was checking in with them, not on the stalk level, but we were carrying on conversations for I've been known her about 2 years now. And I had thought about it I thought about it last month, and I started DMing her, and I dropped a question, I dropped the ask, hey, I'm just checking in, haven't seen you in a while, haven't seen your posts, just make sure everything all right, praying the family's all well. That's normally what I leave on someone that I haven't talked to in a while. And she DM'd me back this morning. She was out the country for a month. So she really wasn't on LinkedIn or things like that. And we communicated through LinkedIn. So I'm sure if she had email or whatever, I probably would have been able to touch bases with her before then. But our communication has been on this. That's another thing that I vie for. If I'm communicating with you on LinkedIn, don't pop up off of LinkedIn and send me an email, or don't pop up. I mean, if I'm communicating with you, respect says, if I'm talking to you on LinkedIn, that's where we carry on our conversation. If I or you want to move it, this has to be an agreed upon thing to say, okay, let's move this to there. Let's move this to Telegram, or let's move it. You know what I'm saying? Because some people like hit you up, they find your information, and I can get people from LinkedIn automatically sending me Telegram messages. And I'm like, well, we never engaged on Telegram. So why are you doing that now? So in the essence of doing that, yes, when you're reaching out to a connection that you haven't, you always want to make it warm. You always want to make it, yes, Bill, just be yourself. I couldn't have said it more.
Mm-hmm.
What you always want to let them know that you're checking in. I always use that as a thing because that builds connections. That's letting one know, not checking on. I'm checking in, letting you know that I'm
Right.
caring about what you're doing, where you're at, where you're going. And in essence, that's a relationship building too. Just the difference between those words, on and in. I found to bring a closer connection too. Because when you're checking on it, it gives a connotation of nosiness. But when you're checking in, it get a connotation of accountability. I'm checking in on you, you checking in on me, just making sure that
Mm-hmm.
we're all trying to grow, we're all trying to strive. But that was an awesome question, Shannon. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And I wanted to get into the second one that you did have, the second point about um being persuasive through communication. A lot of people, the communication skill is lacking. I don't know what's going on in these schools. I don't know what's happening in these homes, but communication skills are poor.
Mm.
And I noticed that they were horrible. I don't know if they
Not
got
horrible.
worse in the I mean, tragic, child. I don't know if
Mm.
they got that way prior to the pandemic or because people were locked up in their homes, they know how to act anymore. They didn't know how to greet people. They didn't know none
Mm.
of that. All
Right.
of that was out the window. Like we all had a sleepover party together. Like the last time I checked, I ain't wake up with none of y'all. So good morning is the first thing out your mouth. And then of course the due respect though, hey, you good, you breathing, all right, you know what, let's leave this communication for another day or next morning. It's now midnight. Why are you in my inbox? Like those kind of conversations. um but I think for me, a lot of that persuasive communication was, I feel I don't know. I get a kind of way when I hear the word persuade because then it's like you want to get people to agree with what you're saying. But if you passionate about what you're saying, they're gonna come to that conclusion. And if they're gonna see how you agree to it, why you agree to it, I think a lot of times that's how you build into becoming an influencer through your communication because they can see that you really eat, live, and breathe what you say. What do you think, Carl?
Yeah, that is that's totally it. And the key to that, what I said about the persuasive communication, they form a bond together. Your communication can be persuasive in the essence of what you're saying and what you're bringing about. And when I use that influence in that, it requires that persuasive communication because I can't influence you if I don't persuade you. All of those three things, I persuade you, I can influence you with persuasion, but I can't persuade you if I'm not communicating that. And communicating that is not necessarily just the one objectivity of talking. The communicating that is visual as well. if I can visually see or I can visually show you some of the things I know they used to say. They used to say your eyes, if your eyes see. I used to believe everything my eyes see and my eyes saw until I saw until the Rodney King riots. Uh, and at that point in time, and I'm just being honest with you, from that point in time, I really had to look at things in a different scope of that. Can I believe my eyes or can I really believe my eyes? Or maybe then I look at that not from the scope of my own personal eyes, because I know what I see is what I saw. But I started looking at my perspectives of what was seen differently, and that started for me tragically. That started for me at the Rodney King tapes, and what I saw from the essence of that was someone, regardless of the connotation of what went on before that, someone that was defensively being beat down. Now that's what I
Mhm.
saw, but there was a million others that did not see it, and that led me to start. Okay, the perception of what I see is not what I visually see, and it's not what we visually see. So we're influencing someone persuasively through communication. Looking at some things is not always what they say or what it is, or looking at how things are is not always how they are. But when you're persuading someone to it, there's a reasoning there that goes beyond just the physical facts of seeing. Okay, how can I reason it? And we use a lot of this in the court. It's they often say it's not what you can show, it's what you can prove, right? The
Yeah.
court tells that big lie. It's not what you can prove, it's what you can persuade and what you can communicate. Because a lot of times guilty go free based upon the advantage of communication from the attorneys that they have representing them, and the way
Right.
that they dissuade facts to be more persuasive communication than actual factual evidence that's put in the trials. So a lot of times you see your communications can affect and influence tremendously if it's done correctly. Now take all of that negative connotation now to bring it to your products and services. If you're
Mhm.
persuasively communicating what you're able to do, present, or offer, you will influence. And not only will you influence those that have heard you, you will also have them influence those who know them. That's how strong persuasive communication is. But it's even greater and it has even more strength if it's done authentically. If people can feel the tug of that communication through what you're offering, through what you're
Mhm.
serving, the social proof of what has happened, what has taken place, man, that is powerful. And these are the things that sets us above. This is the thing that if it's 900 million coaches out there, you can be that one coach that people identify with and see past all the others in the crowded room. Because a lot of people don't understand that you can be picked out in a crowded room of the same lookalikes. Someone can see something you're doing, you're saying, yes. Somebody can see something you're doing and you're saying, yo, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but that dude's different. You can't figure it
Exactly.
out.
Yes, and I think where we could also add to that is, as you sitting here and you're showing people what you can do, you're being in that visible way. You also want to connect and make sure that you're vulnerable enough to tell them, look, where you had your flaws. This is how you overcome a lot of those flaws. Some people just say they overcame, but then they don't tell you how. Some
Yeah.
people tell you that they went from rags to riches, but then they leave all the middle out. So they didn't say that they went crying and borrowing from family and friends to help them make it through the next day. And then once they got that, maybe they met someone. And a lot of times that's what it is. You meet a benefactor. This person, it can be your angel investor, whatever you want to call them, however they come to you in different forms. Or maybe there's a friend that knew people who had contracts that they were ready to have people submit for, and then they told you, hey, go submit. These are the people who need people like you, and then that gave you those opportunities. So it's a lot of times you also want to make sure that as you're having these communications, people are actually being honest and vulnerable enough to tell you what went wrong, what went right, who did they have to reach out to. And
Yeah.
then a lot of times, even when you're reaching out to people, you got to tell them your story. There's people who want help, but they don't want to say why they want the help, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to work all the time, if it works at all.
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times it doesn't that. And with that persuasion, the term in itself, persuade. the vocabulary word in itself uh, has a bad connotation, definitely for the devices of the individuals that use it. And what's withstanding in using that word, we always put persuade with negativity. We never highlight someone being persuaded to do good things. We never highlighted, and it starts at a young age. It even started from your childhood. I had kids in the block that they was bad, right? Everybody knew they was bad, and my mama say, "Don't." Our thing used to be, "Don't let them boys persuade you to go out there with that foolishness and do that foolishness." Right. So even as a young lad, I learned persuading was someone pulling me to the dark side, so to speak. It was never used in the connotation of, okay, you're persuading me to do this. This may end up being the best thing for me. This may end up being the best situation that I can be in because I've taken your influence and your persuasiveness and your communication and saying, oh, yo, this is great to do. And a lot of that is flipping the script of the narrative on words and what we understand them to be. I'm a real benefactor in understanding that words don't mean what they say in the dictionary. Now, is the dictionary published for us to get understanding of what words mean? Absolutely. But you can also take those words, especially in the English language, for one, because you can have one word mean 10 things. So how you going to tell me that that one word meaning 10 things all come down to this perspective? It can't be. So that's why it's so really easy to change the narrative of what words mean in the English language and how you can put them to your particular situation and win an argument because they can mean so many things, ambiguous, so to speak, like that. But I never heard anyone say, yeah, I'm persuade you to be a millionaire. I'm gonna persuade you to have good eating habits. I'm gonna persuade you to be able to save and invest your money, right? We don't put the word persuasive to that. You can say, I'm gonna persuade you like a used car dealer. Well, we know what used car dealers do, right? They lie about the cars. They not all of them, not all of them. Don't y'all send me no. Don't
I
y'all
was
send
like,
me.
what?
But you know the used car dealers get those shady reputations, right? They gonna sell
Yes,
you the
they
car,
do.
they gonna sell you the
Like
lemons,
lawyers.
yeah, yeah, get off my field. Get off my field. Yes, like lawyers, it is true. True, you can't leave them
Yes,
out.
yes,
You know,
yes.
they're gonna fast talk you. My grandmother would say, "Boy, don't let them fast talk you." But them Northerners don't let them fast talk you. They try to get past you with the fast talk. But those are the things, persuading with that we have to change the connotation. If I'm persuading you based upon the things that I'm offering, the services that I'm rendering, these are good, and I'm communicating to you influence with my influence of what I've done and what you see to be evidence of what I've done. That this is good. This is good. So
Right.
I think we have to change the narrative of what persuade actually means.
Yes, and then I love this final thought that
Yeah,
you have, that influence is not about winning; it's about
absolutely.
solving problems.
Yeah.
Now, I'll let you get into this one for real in a minute, but I just want to say yes. A lot of times, it's just how can we influence people if we cannot solve problems? Sometimes we may say we can solve one thing, but we're really solving something else. So, do we even have a handle on what we can solve? You want to be careful about what it is that you're really trying to be out there being an influencer for. There's a lot of these companies that are saying, hey, I think you can be a great influencer for us. Really? Because I don't see it. And and especially if that's not your passion, don't allow others to persuade you into being an influencer for them over after something that you don't even believe in, or you don't really do, or that's not how you live. You have to also make sure that you're being an influencer in a positive way. So if you want to make it authentic, make it fit something that you already do.
Yeah, and you hit it so much on the head. And when I thought about this when I was writing this, I thought of what is the end game in being an influencer? What is your
Mhm.
end game? Is your end game even that when you think about the strategies, so to speak, because everything should have a strategy. It should have a beginning, middle, and an end. It should even have not only necessarily an end in necessity. It should have an influence to future vision. So if you're starting anything, most of the time that we're starting these businesses, these entrepreneurs, even in leadership, even if you're corporate, even if you're whatever realm that you're in, there's a vision that you have for where you want to be. So not I don't like to use the term end because the end means it's a completion of something that you've done. There may be ends to chapters, such as places and points in your life that you're moving to the next level. But when you're an influencer, it's not about winning because when you think about winning, that means you have obtained. And to me, influence is not something to obtain, it's a continuation of. So if I want to influence you, I've gotten such a greatness within me that I want that influence to continue. So if I'm thinking that it's about winning, okay, I've got these million followers. Where do we go from here? Okay, TikTok, magnificent person. And I'm not picking on TikTok. It's one of the greatest avenues that you can get a lot of influencers quickly. That's why I utilize it. When you're saying that I'm on there, I want to get a million followers. Okay, you got a million followers. Now
Now
what?
what?
Now what? Now
Yeah.
where do you go with them? How do you cultivate them? How do you move them to the next level? Because you've influenced them enough to follow you, whether it be one that just jumped on last month or whether it be one that you've been had following you for years. Where have you taken them?
Mhm.
What kind of journey have you put them on to them to be greater? Or is there just a comic relief in continuously watching you dance on TikTok? When you think about that, as much as you would like to get everything you want in having the influence, you always want to think about the lifelong, long term impact of what your influence is, because that flips to legacy and that flips into who you are and what you were so someone can continue. So I want to have something where someone says, okay, this guy here, he had this. I believe in what he did. I believe into it so much that his influence has allowed me to carry it past him. This is where we want the influence to go. We don't want it to be okay. I come over here. I get that. I talk about my few followers that I have. Yes, and I know people. I got some people in my network that has over a million. I can't tell you if they cultivated anything from those million people that are following them, besides the avenue of maybe some great content here and there, some great videos that they've shot, maybe a few outstanding podcast interviews that they've done. But beside that, how we move the needle, the interaction and the legacy that I want to be is that someone's changed in my presence. That's a legacy.
Yes.
That's the true legacy. So that's the influence that I'm looking at. So when I thought about it isn't about winning, it's about solving problems. Create the problem you want to solve. I want to solve the problem of you being confident in moving through your vulnerability. So I'm focusing everything that I do, every content I write, every video I do, every show I do. It's contingent on you understanding that once you dig down deep, you can be better than you are. That's really all it is, simplistically put. And I want to motivate you, encourage you, and have you to get to that place. That's my influence. That's the influence I want to have. And how is that helping? It's long term. That
Mhm.
long term impact. Because when you realize who you truly are, watch how your situations change. Because you'll look at them differently. Your perspective will be differently. And you'll go about them differently. And that's the engagement that you want to have. If you're viewed as a problem solver or a solution provider, you'll build your credibility in the long run. People will remember you in the long run, and legacy will tell that story for you. So that's why I came up with that.
Yes, and that's a great point because there's so many people out here collecting bodies, and
I need jerseys.
that's what it is. Like they're just collecting views, they're collecting clicks, they're collecting follows, but then it's not translating to much. And like you said, it's not translating to influencing those same people to be better, be beyond. It's one thing to keep buying stuff, but now what? What are you doing? Like you buying courses, but you're not changing. You buying courses all day. You in a webinar all week, and not you're
Not
not
taking nothing
moving the
from it.
needle. You have not moved the needle. So if you as a creator, if you as an influencer have people with you who have not moved the needle, is it them or is it you?
Mhm.
That's something else you need to take into consideration. And if it's them, what's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Because there was something that allowed them to say yes to purchasing, but now why are they not saying yes to changing?
Mhm.
Right? And not all change happens in the light. You got to be mindful of that. But if you do not see a growth in your people, because there's going to be people who are going to sit there and you're going to see the change. They don't have to announce it. They don't have to be on camera all the time. They don't have to be posting on social media, but you see them move. When you talking to them, they'll tell you, oh, and this happened and this happened and oh, and I did this. And you can see it. They will tell you about it. You don't have to pull it out of them. They will tell you about it. And and I'm not saying that for you to think, oh, that's a testimonial for you. No, that's allowing you to see that there is actual movement happening. Like Carl said, you want to influence people to make change. You want to influence to show them how to solve their problems. Because a lot of times, you being the person for the solution, maybe you're just, especially as a coach and a consultant, you're just there to help them see the light, move all the clutter from their sight so they can understand, oh, this is the path that's for me, this is where I should be going, oh, here are the steps I should take, okay, and these are the people who can help me take those steps. That's what those solutions can look like. But are they taking that action? And if they're not, why? What's the stall? Is it the finance? Is it that they're nervous? Or because some people just attribute nerve and fear to financial. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Nerve and fear is not at every pinpoint. Fright is not at every pinpoint. What can be is time. So now they're not doing their time properly, right? They're not able to manifest space in their life. So now who do you need to get out of your life? Sometimes it's email. Sometimes you spending all day clearing out your email. You too busy looking at your phone every 2 seconds. My phone on mute for a reason. It lives on mute. I have not heard a ding from my phone in the last 2.5 years. And
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from the phone, the new one that I had to get. But ever since I had my phone, I've never had my phone giving me notifications and dings all the time. Do I miss things? Maybe, but I had other things I needed to handle. So that's where the importance comes with. Hey, can your people focus, or are they too distracted?
True.
It's not fear, it's distractions.
Hmm.
It's not financial, it's distraction. So you want to influence people to be winners and take action in their lives by giving them solutions, by giving them options and opportunities. So that's how a lot of that can come in, and being vulnerable enough to say, look, I've been there. That's how I can call out. When I see you stalling, I know why you stalling.
I know why.
Your time management sucks. That's just
Wow.
the facts. That's just what it is. Your time management is trash. Let's work on it.
Let's work on it. Let's put some work. Let's put some work in on it.
Okay,
You know what I
because
mean?
because there's levels to being busy. There's
Yeah.
levels to it. But sometimes us being busy, our time management is just
Woo.
straight trash.
I suggest everyone take one of those. Take one of those courses and write and take notes. Take notes. I'm a note taker, and I don't talk about people. I don't talk about people per se or nothing, but I've experienced a lot in courses and classes and taking trainings and things where I come with a notebook and most people come to look pretty. And after the training, and I saw you took a lot of notes. Is there any way like I can send an email or something? And most of the time I say no. And I don't say that cruelly. I say that because the opportunity presented itself for you such as it did for me. And you didn't take the importance of what we were doing of any circumstance to say, I might want to write something down. I mean, these people have taken, because I've been in trainings, it's been 8 hours. We go on lunch and come back and we still training 8 to 4. We haven't been in trainings. And I fill up a notebook because I take a lot of notes, right? I take a lot of notes, a couple of things with that, because sometimes people speak fast and I didn't absorb it then. So I write it down and I got a beautiful shorthand and I write down. So I write down something I knew what I wrote down. I can go back and pick up that whole phrase. So I put that in there for that and say, oh, that might be later. Or someone say catchphrases, something that's caught my attention in the essence of them talking to me. I write that down because those are opportunities for building growth, right? Because we can take from everybody, anyone that you come in contact with, even from a kid. My niece said something to me on Father's Day, and I was like, she's 9. And I was like, wow. And I wrote it down. Yes, from a 9-year-old. I sure did. I wrote it down and I made up a little thing about it with some content that I'm going to be sharing. I was like, wow, I did not know the kids think like that today. But you'd be surprised where you can learn or where learning and growth comes from. But if you miss those opportunities, those are also opportunities that you miss to influence as well. Because I influenced that person so much that they thought that they can ask me for my notes and at lunchtime. And I just declined. I was like, no, I really don't share my notes at these meetings because I really, I really try to get these things in order for me, perspective for me to grow and to learn. That's the reason my company sent me here. They didn't send me on a paid day for me to go hang out and eat lunch with 50 or 100 strangers. You know what I mean? They sent me here to learn something to bring back to the company. And that's one of the ways that you can be influenced too. Because when people feel heard, they're more open to be influenced. If I'm hearing what you're
Mhm.
saying and you're hearing what I'm saying, I can open up the influence to go to that solving problems. If you're in the midst of solving the problems that I know that I'm having, you've already got me influence. You already have me, so to speak, under a trance because you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. I was watching Rush Hour 2 the other night. I would say this story actually, Shaw. I had to bring this in. I was watching Rush Hour 2 and Chris Tucker gets in the back of the cab with the guy and he wants him to chase. And he said, chase him, chase him, chase him. And the guy saying, and guy starts speaking Chinese. And he said, you don't understand me? You're not moving. You're not moving the cab. You don't understand me? Get the move, get the move. And the guy's still looking at him senseless. So Chris Tucker pulls a roll of money out and hand it to the guy. He said, you see this? I want you to drive. Follow that car. Follow that car. And the guy turns around and says, oh, yeah, now you're speaking my language. The guy didn't. The guy understood what Chris was talking about the whole
He
time,
knew.
right? But he wasn't moving the needle till he got what he wanted. And this is what we think of a lot of times when we're influencing people. We're thinking about the actual being able to solve the problem. Once Chris put the money up there, it solved the problem for the gentleman because now he was able to drive the cab. I just thought that was funny. I wanted to share that because I love watching my rush hours. I don't watch many
Oh,
movies, but it's some that I watch that I can watch two, three, maybe 4 or 5 times. So some of them I watch so much, like the Equalizer. I know the word for word. With
hmm,
Denzel Washington.
I
I
love the
know.
Equalizer.
Yeah, I know a word for. I don't know what Queen Latifah was doing in this TV show, but the
It's
movie Equalizer.
not bad.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's been out a
See,
couple of years, but I haven't
see,
seen it
you need to watch it.
because
They
I'm just
actually
looking for. I'm looking from the Denzel perspective.
I
That's
know,
why
but they did it justice.
they
They
did
they
it.
did
Okay,
not
I might
they
have to
did
check it
not
out.
because I love Equalizer and the series. They did not do bad at
Okay,
all.
because I
I'll
love Queen
give them their
Latifah. It ain't
credit.
had nothing to do with her. I love her, but the Equalizer. When I think of Equalizer, I just think about how Denzel just do this thing on that. So yeah, so those are movies like that I can watch.
Denzel ruined a lot of fun films for, for
Yeah, for
people
a
to
lot of
do
people.
remakes. So like, nah,
Yeah,
nah,
yeah.
Denzel not in it. We good.
He's definitely a him and who was that? Samuel. Once they do
Come
a
on
movie,
now.
you can't really do
Yes.
no part two unless they in it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the brothers do movies like that. You can't sit another actor in them and do other things. The Avengers wasn't even the same when they tried to kill off Samuel in there. They had to bring him back from the
Facts.
dead.
That's how they bring them back. Just
Yeah.
stitch them together, child. Put that patch on the other eye and let's move on.
That's it. That's it. So we digress, right? But it's
Yeah.
vulnerability. We influencing you authentically. We hope that we're doing this, even with the show that we do, even the ways that we come and the value that we add. We want to have a legacy. We want your kids to come on, maybe 10 years up the road, see some clips of real talks. Yo, that's how they did it. That's how they was authentic and talking about things, even back in 2022. Because we don't know how long it's gonna be left, and we don't know who's gonna see what we're gonna see. Because these digital fingerprints ain't going nowhere. Someone gonna be able to pull it up somewhere along the line, five, ten
So I
years
gotta
from
act
now.
right.
Yeah, so you gotta act right, behave yourself.
Oh
oh
my
man. What's the
goodness. But I definitely just want to say thank y'all for tuning in with us. And like I said, we have a reach of over almost 20,000
yeah,
folks, and that's been a blessing. I can't even because it's grown since we've been together.
yeah, it's a little bit
Um,
over a year now, right? Yeah,
Right? And so
yeah.
I can't even explain how much of a blessing that's been, and the shows that we've been able to come together and cultivate with the help of the community, the Real Talk
Globally.
Live community. Yes, we went global because Carl said
Yeah,
it. Carl was
yeah. I
Carl
said I
wasn't
said
playing.
global from the door.
So I'm
It
just
was
waiting for
global.
his. I'm just waiting for the TV contract. So I'm just
It's
gonna
coming.
show
It's
up to the
coming. It's
meeting
coming. It's
all
coming.
nice and dressed, and I'm just gonna sign. I don't even want it to be digital. I want to go. I will take the drive. I'll go out to Jersey, dirty Jersey. I'll
Yes.
go and sign.
Yeah, I can see the big tag. They had what they had live with Regis and Kathy Lee back in the day. Yeah, no, Real Talk Live with Carl and Charlene. I can see it now down there. Y'all come on
Yep.
down there to Manhattan down there. what's that? The Rockefeller Center where they have all the studios at. Come down there to the Rockefeller Center so
Shout out
we
to
can
many people out
so we can
there.
see this stuff.
I can't be stressing when I'm
Yeah,
trying to get to work.
I'm calling into exec. Look, when we started this show, y'all go back on our website and check. We have some old shows in there, like from about last year this time, even before. I think because we started our first show was probably about March, or April that we first did it. We just didn't put the glamour together
Right.
on that, and I don't even think we really had a title the first couple of shows we did.
No.
Uh,
It was
you
hard
know,
for
we
me to
just
find the first couple of shows. Like,
yeah,
what
we
is
just like we just got on and just got to chiming in and got to talking. But go back and see some of those, and see where we've the gradual
and definitely
process
from
of
the
change.
YouTube. You'll
Yes,
definitely
the
find it
YouTube.
from the YouTube channel.
Yes, the YouTube. Go
Real
subscribe
Talk
to the YouTube
Live.
channel. Go
Okay,
subscribe.
Real
Yeah,
Talk Live
go to my
Podcast
podcast. Go
dot
subscribe on
com
there. Look
forward
at some of that.
slash YouTube. Carl's gonna drop
Yeah.
that link in there.
Yes.
Subscribe, go see our shows, go support the community because so many people came and dropped gems, right? That's what we do. We just drop gems so y'all can take action because we don't like to just have you guys come and then we had a show and that's it. No, we want you to take action because it's all about making sure that we all grow together and we're
Absolutely.
all taking it to the next level. Our journeys are going to be different. Let's just not get that twisted. But
Yes.
there's no reason we cannot support those journeys, right? So that's what we're here for, to help support, give you encouragement.
That's it because you can't we can't do it without each other. I don't care what nobody wants to tell you or what nobody says, and especially with the time and days that we're in now, with everything seems to be going down, and all rights seems to be getting swept up under the rug, regardless of
Mhm.
whatever aisle. And I hate using that term, but that's what it seems like we've come to. Whatever aisle you're on, whatever side of the aisle you're on, but push come to shove, we ain't gonna be able to do it without each other. And it's only going to go so far. You can't push that You can't push that rock up the hill by yourself. Eventually, you're going to have to call for help, and that's where we are, and that's where we should be as humanity. We should be helping each other and trying to see, not pleasing everybody because that's impossible to do, but we should at some point in time come to some reasoning together to say, hey, you know what? I don't 100% agree with you, but I ain't gonna stand in your way. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say anyway. I could be an ally to some of the things you talk about because I agree with some of the things you talk about. Just on that particular point, you probably won't have my agreements, but you won't have my disturbance. So that's how we need to roll with each other. But this is what this show is all about. Real talk. We trying to be influencers. We are influencers. Not trying to be. We are influencers. Go tell somebody about you. Like my boy used to say, go ask somebody about me. That's what the old head used to
Act
tell
like
me.
you know. Let me stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you tell
But
me that when I was
yes,
young.
so
Go
you
ask people about me. They'll tell you about me.
so y'all that was before the whole Google me. They should say go ask about me.
Yeah,
You'll
go
find
ask
out.
about me. Yeah, that's
Um
I'm telling my age on that one. Go ask.
but definitely as we do this outro for today, make sure you check out our sponsors. You're going
Yeah,
to see their banners up there. We're going to drop their links. Make sure you support Martin Pratt, Russ, and Scott. They've been
yes.
so instrumental in our journeys, getting to know other people, and we are proud and happy to help share that support. And of course, Carl and I, if you want to connect with us, check out our banners and our connection links, and you can definitely find us here. We can't wait to see y'all soon and talk to y'all later.
Later. Have a great one.
Bye.
Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.